President Zelenskyy, you look fabulous in that suit.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, you look good.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, looks good.
I said to the one that attacked you last time. See, now he's I remember that.
Yeah, I apologize to you. You look wonderful. No, my first question for you, President Zelenskyy.
In the same suit. You see, I changed. You are not.
All right, let's bring in Stephen A. Smith. It's good to see you, my brother. I got to tell you, this
good to see
really.
You. How you doing?
I'm okay, man, but this bothers me. And I'll tell you why, man. This guy's got thousands of people dying every week in his country. Yeah. And this is the BS that the American media gives a damn about. And I believe this is authentic. Yeah. It matters more what he's wearing and why than whether or not that war ends in terms of our battle with one another here politically. How crazy is that?
Well, it's not crazy. It's predictable because what it shows is America's occasional selfishness. We care more about us than we give a damn about people who are dying in Ukraine, some of us anyway. And the reason why I say something like that is because you're more concerned about what this man is wearing as opposed to what he's experiencing on a day-to-day basis because of a war that was instigated by Russia. And when you ignore what's going on in his nation to focus on something so frivolous, so trivial, it's a problem. Now, is it good that he wore a suit this time? Sure. You're showing up to the White House. It is the White House after all. You're a statesman and stuff like that. We get it. But we also shouldn't make a big deal if he doesn't. He's preoccupied with something far, far more serious and more vicious than showing up to the White House to have a conversation with the President of the United States, his surrogates, as well as the media itself. And it's unfortunate that we would even play into that, but it shows where our priorities lie. If we were experiencing war in real time, having bombs, having our schools bombed and our homes bombed and our businesses and our roads and our infrastructure, just decimated. If we were going through that, we wouldn't be thinking about wearing a suit. We'd be thinking about taking off our jackets, our ties and everything, rolling up our sleeves and doing what we had to do to deal with the situation. But apparently we forget about that when it comes to another nation, and that's unfortunate.
What do you make of the political calculation for the president to even have this ambition? This is a guy who campaigned on how stupid foreign involvements are for America. He didn't get the Iraq war because we didn't even come away with the oil. You can criticize his disposition towards these things, but he's been pretty consistent. And now he's putting a lot of capital, taking a lot of heat, trying to make peace in a place that he campaigned wanting to not deal with anymore. What do you think the upside is to him for this, and is it worth it?
Well, the first things first, the reality is, and excusing my language, he opened his mouth and deposited checks his ass can't cash. That's really what it comes down to. You got to be able to end this war. You talked a lot of stuff about ending this war and how you would end it in one day. Now, we recognize that that's hyperbole. We understand that something like that is not going to end in one day. But the flip side is that he was proclaiming that he had such a relationship, with the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, that, he could get him to do what others couldn't do. Well, okay, let's fast forward 6 months later. What do? You have a meeting with Putin on American soil. No big deal there. I'm not making a big deal at where the meeting was in Alaska. I don't care if it was in Russia or anywhere else. Who cares? What I care about is the fact that you promised a ceasefire or severe consequences before the meeting. And in the immediate aftermath of a meeting, there was no ceasefire agreement. And a matter of fact, you seemed damn near friendly towards him, acting like the meeting was productive. Well, where's the evidence? We don't see any as of yet. There hasn't been a ceasefire that's been achieved. They're talking about moving beyond that and having a peace agreement, which is far more lengthy, far more sustainable, et cetera, et cetera. Well, it's going to take some time to accomplish that. We understand that too. But in the time that it takes to accomplish that, what is Putin going to do? Chances are he's going to bomb Ukraine even more so. Chances are he's going to try to gain more territory. He's going to continue to kill more Ukrainians. That's the likelihood. Yeah. So when we sit around and act like, this is a lengthy process, it's going to take some time, and it's antithetical to what he said and what kind of impression that he gave, and you combine that with the fact that, very little is getting done in terms of proof as to what the relationship truly is. If you've got that kind of relationship with Putin, he got a photo op, he got a chance to be on American soil, and he avoided having to agree to a ceasefire or anything else. So it was a pretty damn good day for Putin as far as we can tell.
Good day
and if
for
it's
Putin.
If it's a good day for an authoritarian leader, how's that a good day for us?
Well, okay, so let's look at that, because you're totally right in your analysis, certainly as it regards Putin's fortunes, because a lot of other major countries would be arresting him. Say if he landed there. So, you know, this was good for him. All right, so why would we do it? Now, to me, the analysis has to be flipped through the lens of, well, what's the better idea? What's the better idea if you want to end this war?
Well,
you got to be hard. You got to punch Putin in the nose. I think that is hollow bravado. I get the theory
I agree with that.
of you got to push this guy, but they have pushed him. They say he has to answer to a constituency. Stephen A., that's BS. He does not have to answer to a constituency. He does not give a damn how many of his people die. He does not give a damn about emptying out the prisons. This is a bad guy. So what's the better idea of how to make peace than what Trump is doing? I'm not saying I like it. I'm just saying I don't have a better way.
Right. Well, here's the point. You're not saying you don't have a better way. You're pointing out how the Democrats don't have a better way. They have no ideas, full of bluster, talking a lot of stuff, and don't have any muscle behind their words. We can't say anything. We have to backtrack, and I did it today on my YouTube show, the Stephen A. Smith Show. I talked about 1991 when Ukraine, captured its independence. I talked about how, Bill Clinton coaxed them into an agreement to give up 1,900 nuclear warheads, okay, which obviously were returned back to Russia. I talked about the promises made but not kept, about protection and things of that nature, being a security blanket, them in concert with the UK and Russia, and how that man, Vladimir Putin, and others violated the agreement. We talk about this kind of stuff. We talk about the annexation of Crimea. We were talking about when Russia came and they took over Crimea. That was under the Obama administration. We're talking about a full-out war that has been engaged under the Biden administration. So you talk about Biden, you talk about Obama, you talk about Clinton, that contributed to Ukraine being weakened in the eyes of the world. So Trump could make the argument, if he wasn't so interested in bravado and sticking out his chest and talking about how he's got a relationship with Putin that nobody else has, and instead focused on the fact that, you dudes were the one who did this. You weakened Ukraine. You put them in this vulnerable position. And now I'm here to try to clean it up. Don't hate me for trying. At least I'm doing so. That's his argument right there, because what that will do is galvanize the rest of America to rally around him because of the position that he has taken, knowing that it wasn't his fault that it's in this state and that he's trying to find a solution which is better than anybody else has done since they've been in office. Am I missing something?
I do agree, and I felt the same way even during the Biden administration. The country doesn't get credit for trying. You could just as easily justify, I know, Putin is fighting with Ukraine.
He deserves credit for trying.
Israel is fighting with Hamas. Not my fight. America could have that posture. There are a lot of Americans who would welcome it, by the way, because of the blood and treasure we've spent on things that never pay off for us in our own provincial view.
Right. It's not good enough to just hold hands, have a candlelight vigil, and talk about the way the world should be. We have got to recognize the cards that have been dealt. And we have got to meet fire with fire. They want to rig these elections, and they want the power that gerrymandering provides, because they know what Donald Trump knows. He's going to lose the midterms.
Look, I don't get it, but people on the left say that Gavin Newsom has struck a chord. I believe that if you can't beat them, join them. This is what this feels like. Gerrymandering is either wrong or it's not wrong. And if you're going to do it, then you're answering the question. And I don't understand how this is about better, but maybe better doesn't get you to best anymore. Maybe this is the right way, and this is Newsom figuring that out. What does Stephen A. Smith say as he rejoins us? On the political side, does this work for you?
It does when it comes to Gavin Newsom. I think it's the best thing he's done in years. I have to be honest with you.
Why?
If you asked me this a few months ago, particularly in the aftermath of the wildfires, I'd say he's irrelevant. There's no chance in hell. But I think he struck a chord. And here's what I'm saying, Chris. I've said this on many occasions when I've been asked this question about voters who loved Trump. Ron DeSantis and Liz Cheney and Ted Cruz and most Republicans would have governed right along how Trump is governing. But when you listen to his supporters, it's not what he does, it's how he does it. He's truculent, he's disrespectful, he's in your face, he doesn't care, He will mock you and mimic you. He will ridicule you. He will embarrass you. In Gavin Newsom's case, he calls him new scum. Not Newsom, his name, new scum. Think about that. And the voters like, yeah.
So do the pod bros.
Yeah, we love it. Why? Why? Because that's how the average voter feels about politicians on Capitol Hill. That is the way they wish they could speak to politicians on Capitol Hill. And because Trump does it, he's ingratiated himself with a cult-like following that loves the way he does stuff, not just what he does. Now Gavin Newsom has struck a chord with some on the left because they want him to be just as truculent, just as disrespectful, just as volatile. You saw his tweet today where he was literally mocking and speaking, in Trump-like fashion, just to mock and ridicule the president. And you see Trump sort of taking a step back like, whoa, what the hell is this? Talking about Nobel Peace Prize and how he deserves it, Gavin C. Newsom and stuff like that. Trolling and doing things that Trump is doing. Why? Because if you're Gavin Newsom, you got to get people to forget about your sanctuary cities, some of the policies that you were endorsing, like open borders and stuff like that. You got to get them to forget about the homelessness, the poverty, the unemployment, the crime, a whole bunch of stuff you got to get them to forget about. What better way to do that than have them preoccupied on how you're going after Trump? Because remember, he's not running for the governor's seat again. His term is up, term limits. It ends next year. He's going for national office now, and he's got to give the appeal that he's leaning heavily towards the center in an effort to get everybody to forget about how extreme left he was. And also remember, Chris, most people ain't paying attention to California. It's California, it's New York, we get that part. But most folks ain't paying attention to it. At least that's what he's betting on. I don't think it will work, but I actually think at this particular moment, he's the best looking candidate in terms of how he's going after Trump, because you're going to have people going to the polls. They couldn't tell the economy, inflation, immigration, affordability, crime, etc. Most people are going to go to the polls because they can't stand Trump. Just like most people are going to go to the polls because they love Trump and hate the left. That's what he's banking on, that will galvanize him through the Democratic nomination and position him to go directly up against Trump. That's what he's counting on.
Right. Well, first of all, then he would have to do that with the rest of the field, not just with Trump. Look, it's hard for me to see the through line of success. Maybe this is why I'm not the Cuomo who's in elected politics. I just watch it. But I don't know how you mimic somebody and copy somebody and wind up beating them. I've never seen it in fighting. You don't want to go strength versus strength with an opponent. You want to find an opponent's weakness.
I'm saying, what else
Gavin
have you seen?
Is playing to his strength.
Me, listen, you know this better than me, my man. I learned what I learned from you. That's why I'm brilliant, because I know I'm not. I learned from the best, baby. Here's the point. I'm saying to you, Chris Cuomo, tell me what Democratic candidate has looked more feisty going after Trump. We see cats that qualify. I love Josh Shapiro, governor of Pennsylvania. I love Wes Moore, governor of Maryland. Any of those two candidates, they win a Democratic nomination. I'm happy they got my vote. But my point to you is, who has looked like the candidate eager, willing, and capable with literally nothing to lose to go up against not Donald Trump, who's not running for re-election unless the 22nd Amendment gets averted and this guy finds a way to run for a third term. Not him per se, but one of his acolytes or one of his surrogates, somebody that's placed in that position where he's behind the scenes wielding his influence. There is no one that we have seen that has gotten on their nerves, that's willing to go after them the way Newsom has. And all I'm saying is, I don't think it'll work, because I think his record in California will come back to bite the living hell out of him. But I have to confess, what he has been doing lately has been raking their nerves. I've seen the right reacting in an acerbic way, more unusual compared to what they would do with other candidates. He's got their attention, and I think in some cases he's induced fear. And it's going to be interesting to see how folks respond going against him, because he's smart, he's articulate, he looks the part, and bottom line is, even though I thought he lost the debate to Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, by the way, in the end, I look at him and I say, excuse me, if he could get on Trump's nerves and agitate him a little bit more, and Trump, dare I say, is foolish enough to play into his hands, it could make things far more interesting than any of us suspect.
Right, except he ain't running against Trump. He's going to be running against other Democrats.
I agree.
And maybe I'm just being foolishly idealistic, but I believe that what wins in the midterms is better. I think people are exhausted and that this is more punks acting like punks. And could I be wrong? Yeah, sure, it happens with stunning frequency. But
It's not.
I hold out for better. I do. I hold out for better.
I'm looking at you. Let me tell you. I got, because you're a friend of mine and I love you, man. I got to tell you. You got to look better than you look right now.
That never ends
sad.
well.
You look sad. You look sad. You look really, really sad right now. You look defeated. Don't be defeated. The fact of the matter is this. We got the midterms for sure, but you got 2028 thereafter. Gavin Newsom ain't running for no midterm, man. And the Democrat, and listen,
no, he's not.
Either he's going to beat the Democrats or he's going to bring the best out of the best amongst them. One way or another. If the country wants to be lean towards center, more towards reasonability, and less towards cult-like followings, we've got to have contestants. I'm talking about real challenges for the job that force people to step their game up and compete, as opposed to relying on rhetoric and silliness and inconsequential things in order to get the highest office in the land. That's what I'm hoping for, and Gavin Newsom may spark that.
Listen, look, it's working for him right now. We're talking about him. So, you got to give him an attaboy. I just don't like what works these days. I think we're going down a road of everything's getting more and more extreme. And I think you wind up just disconnecting from the majority of the country. But hopefully I'm wrong.
But he hasn't been extreme. He hasn't been extreme.
But listen,
he's been within bounds.
No question. No question. Although, look, he plays the game like everybody else. He won't come on here now because Adam Carolla went after him one night. But look, I get it. That's politics. I will say this. The only thing I disagree with you about is my concern for the level of how we're practicing politics in this country is real. But I am the most ridiculously optimistic. That's why I started the show the way I did. Bravo to America for even trying to make peace. We don't have to do this. Trump is doing what's hard, and I give it to him for that. I don't know that he's going to get it done, and I don't know that he's going about it the right way.
So do I.
But I felt the same way about Biden. Trying to do what's hard, I respect that, and that's America's place in the world. All right, I got to jump. I appreciate you making it look easy, Stephen A. Smith. You're the man. Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.